Okay, the work I'm going to present today is a short story called The Kite. How long I have dreamed of this moment. Max found the thought a mere cliche, but no matter. Many years of doubt and frustration had led up to this day. The conditions perfect. Bright blue sky, grass of an intense green, a strong wind blowing his hair in all directions. At his feet lay a kite constructed and painted to resemble a red-tailed hawk. Its wings spread out in colorful splendor against the green grass. Spring was becoming particularly kind this year with its yield of colors and scents. Winter's pervasive cold winds were another story altogether, reluctant to release their grasp. On this day, however, everything was in synchrony. Max felt a strong connection with the sky, wind, and kite, at one with it all, grasping what many people overlook in their day-to-day seeing, hearing, and feeling what is really there, not just what resides on the surface. Time was irrelevant at this moment. Reaching down and carefully picking up the kite, Max's gaze locked onto the hawk's eyes. The feeling of oneness becoming stronger, and no wonder, for many hours were spent applying glue to the wooden frame with utmost care. Not too much, not too little. Then meticulously attaching the cloth to the frame. Finally painting on the eyes, beak, wings, body, and tail feathers with a fine brush. Was it wishful thinking? Max thought hard on this, the answer quite obvious, as it was no longer a question of if it would fly, but when. Since he was a child, Max had always wanted to get a kite to fly, but those times that he tried became dismal failures. Every so often as an adult, he would be out walking in a park or driving around the neighborhood, observing some child or adult successfully flying one, and would think back on his own futile attempts. This year, he resolved, would be different. He would conquer this defeat and prove once and for all that he could do it. Holding the cord tightly in his hands, it felt as if the souls of past times and past ages had converged on this one kite to allow a realization of his dream. Then a hawk appeared, gliding slowly and methodically in the wind, all graceful beauty and freedom as it circled for a moment above Max before moving on a bit while remaining in his view. It did not seem bothered at all by the heavy wind in its flight. Max wondered what must be going through the hawk's mind as it circled overhead, gliding with the wind. What sights the hawk must see up there. Was this moment mere coincidence? He looked back down at the kite in his hands and felt an energy rise. It was time. Time to cast aside a whole life of would have, should have, drowning in doubt, time to break through every roadblock, to tear down every wall to his success, to throw futility to the wind and bid it good riddance. Raising the kite up and still holding the cord tightly in his hand, Max began to sprint across the field, stumbling for a moment, then picking himself up, releasing the kite to the wind. It remained airborne for only a brief moment before landing on the grass. Undaunted, Max ran back and picked up the kite, then proceeded to sprint again as the all fiery glory of the kite against the clear blue sky became unstoppable, liberated, free in its splendor, presence, and color, rising higher, higher. Max stopped running, his eyes following the kite's movement, still grasping the cord with both hands. The hawk again circled overhead in a pas de deux with the kite. Max was hypnotized by this slow motion dance, the kite seeming to draw energy from the hawk. Ah, the ancient spirits again. Blessings had been given for this moment, the energy stronger with every pass. The dance continued, a trio now with Max carefully controlling the kite, oblivious to everything around him, yet at one with it all, transcendent, shedding the dead skin of doubt that had encased him all these years. The cold wind blowing hard on his jacket and against his face, but his mind oblivious to it. For at this moment, he was the hawk in flight, seeing through the hawk's eyes with its pinpoint accuracy and free of the bounds, holding sheer power a raptor fully understands in its bid for survival. Understanding the meaning of graceful movement, gliding with the wind, gliding with the wind, gliding with the wind in the bright sunshine, voices and calls from centuries past, filling his ears with ancient wisdom, gliding and circling, gliding and circling. When Max opened his eyes, he realized that he had collapsed on the grass, catching his breath as if re-entering the shell of his body that lay near the kite. The red-tailed hawk, circling in the distance, changed course and flew directly over the two, pausing for a moment to study them before continuing its journey against the crystal clear sky. Max raised himself up with a grunt and walked over to the fallen kite, undamaged after its flight. As he carefully raised it, he noticed a red feather lying next to it. Lifting it to his lips, he kissed it softly, then studied it with closed eyes. Opening his eyes, Max watched the hawk circling again in the far distance. The gift was priceless. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. The gift was priceless. I love that spirit of daring, not putting things aside, not